Greetings, denizens of the Westmarch workshop. It is I, Leviathan, and I am accompanied by my number one cohort in mischief and greed, Nine Ball. We are back once again to provide to you words, first of all, and also the Westmarch workshop, episode 144. Goblin 'em up. You get it? Because we're goblins, and it's like a play on the word of gobble, like a turkey might go gobble gobble.
Yeah,
Well, please save me, Nine Ball.
I, I've got nothing. Like you're asking me to save you on an opening. We have reached new lows.
The tables have turned,
How
or
they
you've.
have ever, or I just infected you, and the
I
curse is
yeah,
spreading because
you said it.
not only were you having trouble with the opening, you did what I did in flub words. That's the
Yeah,
second time
it's
I've used flub tonight.
flubber. I'm triggered.
So triggered. He said triggered. I'm triggered.
Oh, there it is. Your trigger
There
word
it
is
is.
triggered.
Uh,
Lord have mercy. But in any case, goblins, man, how you doing today? How you doing in life? How you doing? How are
oh,
you?
oh, that is quite the loaded question. Um, as far as gaming goes, I actually have had some time to play some games. Sadly, it hasn't been Diablo. I hope you all
Oh
don't think
no.
less of me, but there is a new expansion for Star Trek Online, and so I've been playing a little bit of that to go and play like through the new missions, the new race, the new ships, and stuff like that, just to go and try it out. And that has been most of my gaming. A little bit other than that has been going over to the tabletop because the Warhammer Age of Sigmar released a new edition and a new Army of the Undead, the Night Haunt, a bunch of floaty sheets. It's the kind of like,
Floaty sheets.
yeah, it's the Ghost Army. And
Ooh.
yeah, it's
Spooky.
think very what is it, um Christmas Story. Yeah, the ghosts and chains and stuff like that floating around.
Sure.
It's a really, really cool, nice, fun type of army. Changes things up from what they previously have done with the undead because they're actually very resilient and fast, composed as compared to the kind of crumbly, very slow undead that you just have massive amounts for your opponent to chew through. These ones just kind of like get up in your face really quick, and they can take a really uh, powerful hit.
Hmm. So does this make painting the models easier because they're all just like plain?
It does, and they have technical paints which make it even easier because you just like spray paint them white, and then you kind of have three different shades that have like a ghostly glow to it. And almost when it dries, it has kind of like swirls and highlights that are within the
Ooh.
color, and so you can kind of do it um, like almost kind of like a light pastel blue, a neon green, or like a cool gray. So, and then you
I
just
like the green. That's what I would do for mine.
yeah, and you just kind of hit it with like a little bit of a dry brush. Just it catches just the edges, but not the flat surfaces, and then it adds like kind of like the lighter highlights to show it kind of like if it's fading away. Really cool, really easy army to paint, and I haven't had a chance to play him yet on the tabletop. Still putting together because I spent a lot more money than I probably should have. Going through and getting this new army, but I've got a lot to put together still, and waiting for a chance to actually get out and give them a play on the tabletop. Other than that, I started a new position at work. So it's funny because I went from operations manager to operations technician, and you would think that that would be kind of like a demotion, but it had a rather decent pay raise to go alongside it. So thank you for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Money, 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 money.
And to start my first week of training last week, had the guy that's training me, the field engineer, that's going showing me a lot of like the behind the scenes IT stuff, as well as the behind the scenes like projection and maintaining the equipment, maintaining like the servers that all the media content plays on. The new theater that I'm in charge of maintaining, because I actually have two locations that I have to keep track of and maintain. The new location, in addition to my old one, had a massive failure on one of the media servers that ran the projector. So not the projector itself, but think about like your DVD player just went bad. Only a hell of a lot more expensive. You know,
the most expensive DVD player I've ever bought, which is Blu-ray when it first came out.
Yeah, it sounds about right. And it was he had been with the company for like 8 years, and he said it was one of the worst failures that he had ever seen. And he's only had anything like this massive go bad like 3 times before in his experience. And we're like having to drive down to Miami to pick up parts. Drive back over, to drop them off, and just have stuff sent over from California, all this other crap. And it was, it has been a ride. It's this past week has been a ride. But
so I think you'd call that a good start, right? Like, really good signs of things to come.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that it's probably not something that I'll ever really have to worry about seeing again. So that's nice to get it out of the way in training when I have backup.
Hard stuff first.
Exactly. Yeah, it's brought its own separate set of in addition to that, it's kind of like brought its own separate set of challenges and skill sets that I haven't used in a while, because it's been a minute since I last really had to flex my my IT muscle. But it's just kind of like getting back into that kind of side of the field, and hey. It's having fun, and it's things when things go wrong and you can fix them, and like maybe save a couple shows and save the company some money. You can see your work actually have like direct benefits, and that's fulfilling.
That's really cool. Like the impact is readily viewable. I think that's also pretty cool too, because then come review time or any of that stuff, we need to show what have you done for us. Boom, you got like, by the way, there was this one time. You have all these like stories that you can regale them with.
Yep.
Already off to a good start.
Yeah.
Stories wise.
I mean, it's just gonna get more boring from here, I'm sure.
Reach the top.
Yep. But that's kind of been my recap since the last episode. But what about yourself, sir? You seem to have had your own kind of like little issues of trial and tribulations there, man.
Man, dude, I firmly believe in this sort of, maybe it's a saying or kind of a widely held conception that things tend to happen in threes, and I'm beyond 3 now. So like, let's just stop. I just don't know why my demon hunters keep dying, man. There's so much going on in just life and whatnot. The game itself has been great. Season is still going really strong, really well, despite multiple times of dying. 2 have been on my own fault. One was, like I think we discussed previously, the crazy reflex damage thing. We're realizing that there's something that occurs when Crusaders do crazy amounts of condemned damage and it's reflected back. But we still haven't really got to the bottom of that one. But in any case, like it's just nuts, man. I lost a multi-shot setup for my Demon Hunter. Just being really dumb against Agnadox one time. Then I lost just this past weekend my Shadow setup again, and then my multi-shot again, both times from my game crashing. One was in the middle of a Greater Rift in a 4-player game. The other was in the middle of Bounties in a 4-player game, but it was just me on the map by myself. So it's very odd, and we're trying to get to the bottom of why it keeps happening as far as the crashes go. Went over to the 32-bit client, and I haven't crashed since then. I think it's the 3rd day on it. But there have been some, like, just infinite loading screens at times trying to port back from a Rift, which really scares me, but it feels like it puts me back in town, and then it just refuses to load town. So maybe that's okay. Yeah,
I was actually there for watching in the stream when one of those ones happened. Just like coming, I think, like, what was it, the first day you were trying the 32-bit client?
Yeah. Yep, I do. Yeah, I remember you were there for that. So I'm hoping, fingers are crossed that maybe they'll at least, like, if that's the worst of it, then that's not that bad, But man, it's just making it that much harder for me to keep going after my goals. I'm not giving up though. Like, I will continue to play hardcore this season. They're gonna find all sorts of ways to get at me, but My resolve is strong, man. I want to be #1 so badly by the end of the season. So
You
we're
want to
gonna keep
be the very best, like no
like
one
no
ever.
one ever was. That's right, dude. To catch all the Paragon is my real test. There's a lot of Paragon.
Yeah, there is a lot of Paragon. What is your Paragon up to right now?
So right now, it's actually at a great point because I just surpassed the highest Paragon I've ever gotten in a season. And mind you, we're about to be about 4 weeks into this one.
Yeah,
At 1956, I think, which is just insane that we've gotten that far this fast with no rat runs or any of that business. It's just grindstone, man. Like whenever I can, Tuba and I are grouping, and then we usually can add in some other people, whether DPS or supports. And it really just goes to exemplify how when you're trying to think of every efficiency that you can take and then adding the group mix into that, it adds up very quickly.
yeah. I mean that's nothing. That's nothing to sneeze at. Like about to break 2K. Like only 4 weeks in. What does that set you up? Towards the end. Do you have like kind of like an end goal for like Paragon?
It's tough to say because the pace has definitely been pretty frenetic. I think early in the season, like maybe that first week, I was definitely cutting sleep short. I've actually started to get decent sleep now, and it's still coming in at a good pace, but definitely noticing it slowing down. So I'm not sure because it also depends on like how many people stick around, how often can we get the 4-player groups, go up to the higher GRs, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So ideally, and I have no idea how ambitious this is, I'd like to try to get as close to 3K as I can. That might require some rats or something, at some point giving into the meta. But I guess we'll see. I mean, at this point, I was saying like I just wanted to beat that old mark, see how long it took to get there, and we'll see. The rest is icing on the cake, as I like to say.
Yeah. At what Greater Rift level are rat runs comfortable around right now?
I've seen people doing 99s pretty resiliently.
Which Greater Rift was that?
Oh, sorry, 99.
That's better. And what are you running like right now?
We have been doing in our 2s 91s, but we're about to bump those up because I think we can run pretty much the same time in 93s, 94s, 95s maybe. And then we've actually developed a meta that's an off meta where we can do 99s in a little slower time than the rats are doing them with a double Condemned Crusader, a DPS Barb, or sorry, support Barb, and then my Demon Hunter for like the boss killer. So you basically have 2 AoEs with the Condemned Crusaders. Then you have the boss killer from the Demon Hunter, and then you just have the Barb to kind of like speed you up and supply more damage buffs and debuffs.
That's pretty interesting. And I know that is kind of like even like you're running like say even if you go through to run like the 93s or the 94s, just those couple of levels is a pretty nice step up in terms of like the XP that you're getting per run because you're still completing it in like the 2-3 minutes.
Exactly, yeah. If you can keep and this is actually a question that pops up in the community a lot is where should my greater rifts be at, or like what time should I be aiming for, things like that. And I think it's important to always kind of come back to stepping it up a little bit or checking where your benchmarks are, right? Because you might spend the first week of the season comfortably speed farming greater rift 80s, but as you do that, of course, your Paragon level is going to go up. You're probably going to find some gear, some upgrades, augment some things, right? And then you might get to the point where you're still running those 80s, but you're probably leaving something on the table because you could go up to 81 or 82, and likely the average will still find its way around what you've been doing, just that you can't move any faster through those rifts, right? Whether it's a really good one, really bad one, you're just going to keep coming in around those same times. So you might as well try to go higher and see if you can keep bringing in the fast times.
There's not as much point of kicking it up to like the next step if the increase if your increase in time of clearing it doesn't match the increase in gains that you'll be having.
You're right. It almost turns into a math problem, right? Like how much extra time are you adding versus how much extra EXP are you getting? And usually the well-held maxim is just to go fast, right? Gotta go fast. So you might as well just stick to the faster, lower stuff if you're ever unsure.
In my Diablo?
Oh, God.
More likely than you think.
Somebody save us.
Yeah, And then it's pretty cool that you're finding something that is, like just a step below it. That's like almost as fast. Could you? I guess maybe you could like drop it down to like 98 or 97 for your double Crusader.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably have to tinker with the numbers. We've only gotten to do it a couple of times, so there hasn't been a lot of experimental time to like say, oh, let's try this one. Let's get a few runs at it to get what an average time might be. Okay, let's try this one. Usually, it's like, hey, we got some people together. Oh yeah, I died. So sometimes those things get cut short a little bit, but yeah, hopefully we can keep messing around with it and figure out where the sweet spots are.
Yeah. And what was it? Dang it! I had a question. I remember now. You've reached the level where at what point was it that Paragon levels the XP stops scaling? There's a point when the XP per level just it becomes like a fixed yeah.
I've never committed that to memory because I never thought it would matter to me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like for the softcore guys or the rat runners or whatever. I'm not sure. I just have to actually look into it. Although, didn't they? I could have sworn maybe they made a change to that where they were like, oh, we'll keep.
Or it's like a flat increase instead of kind of like where it was like a percentage increase up and up and up, and then at that point it just hits a linear progression.
I think that might be it.
Yeah, and so it was the increase itself plateaus off.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure. There's definitely some more crunching to figure out because then you can kind of like you're asking, start to predict like if I can get maybe around this much EXP per week or maybe for the next month or so, where like how much do I need basically to land where I might want to land.
Yeah, then you can kind of map it out. Well, I'm gaining X amount of XP per week. With this amount of playtime or what have you. And so by the end of the season, I'll be at like this Paragon level, and then, I'll have accumulated this many blood shards, I've rolled through this many stuff. That's going to be really interesting, I think. Maybe also just kind of take a look at the rest of the statistics, not just the Paragon level at the end. Like, how many blood shards did you get this season compared to, the previous season on another character? Or how much gold? How many, like, elites did you kill?
Yeah, I love like looking at all those numbers. So I'm very curious, just like the hours, like all those stats. What went into this madness?
Yeah, because you've already broken the Paragon level, and I'm pretty sure that even with kind of like the the reduced sleep schedule, a lot of that you've done anyways. Like, how many hours are you at like at this point compared to your past highest? In order to contrast that difference in what. Just going from, say, speed running, 80s on your own versus the 95s in a group. Maybe we could go through and start making our own data sheets, and like little that we're always going and asking Blizzard to make that we can, do our own.
Right. More infographics.
Yep, we'll have all the infographics.
Yeah, man.
We can go and have Dread, design one up.
Oh, he'd be all over that too.
Yep. Hey, Dread, you get to make a graph.
Oh, I can just see his like brain, the hamster wheel just spinning right now.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Like the grind has just been going for the last 2 weeks since we had a show. Mainly the goal is to really get the Demon Hunter as fixed up as I possibly can so that it's good in groups, it's good in solo, it's good whenever like someone needs me for it. And then I want to start working on Barbarian, so that might come up soon. I actually just started to put together the support setups for the Barb because there's one for speeds, there's one for like higher kind of meta Greater Rift stuff. So I want to look at those, maybe try my hand at some supporting this season. Just branch out a little bit because I think with so many hours played and such, like it's going to get to a point where like there's just no more I can do with the DH besides keep getting the Paragon up,
And that you're going to need to like just change things up a little bit.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that. Right now, just to wrap up, I did a Greater Rift 107, I think 2 days ago. And I was actually trying to look around. I should have done a little bit more research, but I was on Diablo Progress, which isn't the most accurate. but exempting some things that are occurring, which maybe we can talk about a little later for the Demon Hunter. It's like the rank 2 hardcore clear in the world right now, so that's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Is that just for the season?
For this season, yep.
Yep.
So far.
That is pretty awesome. Well, I'm, not that high on the Necromancer. I'm kind of like way down there. I will go through and get back into it. Now that,
Still, you will rise like your skeletons.
Yes. Try and have some fun here towards the mid and the back end of the season.
Nice.
Yeah, things are. I think I said this on the last episode that things are starting to calm down a little bit. Well, now things actually hopefully will be calming down a little bit. Get a little bit more playtime in there. I know what is it like Star Trek Online? There's like these huge incentives of playing right now until the 18th, and so like everything is like doubled and quadrupled and such. So I'm catching up for all of like the past year that I haven't played, and because there's like 5 new reputations and such, and instead of like taking a couple months, you can finish it in like 20 days. And so, just trying to use this as a little like kind of like the most efficient use of my gaming time, by getting the multiplicative returns on it.
Yeah, so in a way, you're still Diabloing because you're taking efficiency and just min-maxing.
There you go.
No matter where you go.
There you go.
Boom.
That's the way I like to see it.
Legit.
But what's this thing that you're talking about going on with Demon Hunters?
Yeah, so season 14. I've been looking around just to see the news on who's doing what and whatnot. Hardcore in general seems to be really interesting this season. So a lot of people are trying to push their limits early. It's been very competitive, which is cool to see. I'm wondering how long it'll last beyond, other things happening with Blizzard in general, because we've got just the Hearthstone new expansion announced recently. BFA is coming next month.
Could we take a moment to discuss that Hearthstone expansion?
Yeah, we can definitely take some time. You want to do it right now?
The mechanics and the mechanics and stuff inside of the Hearthstone expansion, they go through and they look pretty interesting, but I was not expecting that video.
That video!
Oh my god.
That was amazing. Brandy was like, "Have you seen this?" And I was like, "No, I didn't even know." Like, I saw inklings of them talking about there was going to be an expansion. She was like, "You need to watch this. It's 10 minutes. You need to watch this."
Yeah, that was one of those ones where it's like it kind of was a great throwback to like watching Bill Nye, or more specifically Beakman's World. I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering what the parody was kind of from. Yeah. Gotcha. I'm not familiar, but I definitely was getting like almost like a 90s science show kind of vibe.
Totally.
With all the sound effects and things.
Yeah, and then like just like the set and the special effects and such, that it felt to me like it was straight out of like Beakman's World, which you should go and like YouTube like a couple episodes after this. It may or may not have been because every episode opened with penguins watching the show.
Now I see why you like this.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember their names. I think it was Herb and Bert. Or Larry.
Or Larry.
Yeah.
That's what we should have named this show, or Larry.
Or Larry. That episode 145, or Larry.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. But yeah, that expansion looks cool. Just that video alone was like pretty darn hype. But yeah, so like just kind of rounding back. So I'm curious to see how the connectivity to the season, the fervor for it will go beyond, BFA and other things coming out, because, we are going to land somewhere in the middle of September when it ends. That's our tentative end date that we've gotten, which is, again, a nice change to have that at the beginning. But some people are really trying to take advantage of things, and on the Demon Hunter side, it's unfortunate. There's a bit of an exploit that's going around right now. It has to do with the Marauder set. Don't want to go into the details of it because it's technically still active. And I'm hoping that Blizzard is going to do something about it, because it is currently affecting the leaderboards to the point where, like, I myself have declared I want to get rank 1. Like, I have made a hard push for it early in the season, and have been trading it back and forth with people and stuff. And now it's, the rank 1 got pushed to a point where it shouldn't be yet because of this exploit. And I mean, I don't know. Personally, I hadn't had any feelings about it because I was just going to do whatever I could do. And that's that, right? I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to still compete and do what I can to keep pushing. And going with the full intent of playing the whole season, knowing at some point I'll put my best mark up, and if it's good enough, it's good enough. But it's definitely proliferating. Like, I've seen other streamers starting to talk about it, bigger streamers. So now a lot of people are knowing about it. And I feel like as these things gain that sort of momentum, it does kind of end up forcing Blizzard's hand, right? Because the more things spread, then the more potential there is for it to be used. And then, like, what do they do, right? The last thing we saw with this was Bone Ringer exploit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I want to say, yeah, the Bone Ringer exploit towards the beginning of the year.
And that one I thought was handled well. We talked about it a little bit on the show too, where they had to disable the power, and then they went and they figured out, kind of what was going on with how the exploit was happening. They stopped that. They re-enabled the power, and then eventually they also cleaned up the boards. So they do have a process for it, and I guess maybe they're going through that process, because I know it's been reported for sure.
Yeah, I think it. From what I remember of like previous instances, is one of those ones where it's like they kind of have to, recreate the issue in house, see how bad or at what point like the fix is. Is it something that they can hot fix out? Is it something that requires an actual client patch? Is it something that they can, just like with the Bone Ringer, just disable the power completely in order to stop the exploit? And then once they have that done and the patch fixed, it then gets handed over to what do you do with the fallout afterwards? And that, as we saw with like the Bone Ringer, I think it took like 2 or 3 weeks after the exploit itself was fixed before the leaderboards were cleaned up.
Yeah, there was a bit of delay.
Yeah.
And I remember I jumped on. I was like, why aren't they like removing these people who have clear case issues? But yeah, it took some time.
Yeah, but at least that did go through and show us that it is something that they will address. Once ever like the exploit itself is taken care of, and it might take a little bit longer than expected, but as long as it's happening now and not something like, imagine like the worst case scenario where the season's over, like it happens at the end. And then they have to retroactively go back and remove people from the leaderboard after it's already been said and done. Now we're catching it at least like a month into the season.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I guess better sooner than later.
Yep. But
that's one more.
Yep. All I was just gonna say is, it's at least hopefully what we learned with the Bone Ringer exploit, because I know that you weren't the only one. There were a lot of people that were starting to go through and get a bit up in arms because on Blizzard's side they said nothing, and you had to wait the time period before they actually went through and did the action. They just they played the cards a little bit close to the chest in terms of announcing any type of action that they were going to take before they went through and did it. And so this time we'll be expecting that, and so it goes through a couple weeks. We know at least it should still be coming. Clean all that terrible little mess up. So just because you think you can get away with it now, they are watching, they are logging. Like literally everything that you do gets logged. We should see on the challenge rifts are proof of that. They log every single rift that ever gets completed. So they will see it. Don't be that guy. Just play straight.
Don't do it. Yeah, that's the best advice we can give too, because if actions get handed down and you knew better, you had previous warning. There's no one to really blame but yourself.
Yep.
Word. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that one. I mean, it's very near and dear to me, so I'm sure we'll come back around to it. Hopefully something happens.
And that also kind of like just brings up like an interesting point of topic, with that focus on the leaderboards. And it's something that we had talked about I think before on the show and like a little bit on Twitter a while back about having, say, like set specific leaderboards. It's like, well, this is the top leaderboard clear for Marauders. This is the top leaderboard clear for Shadows and such. there could be different things that they go in, like, directions with that if it's something that they wanted to do. Or even just like kind of like putting more of a focus on, say, like the clan or community leaderboards.
Yeah, I think it could be an interesting way to maybe break it out, because if you look at, I guess, like the SSF revolution, right? To put a loaded word towards it, it kind of ended up being a representation of what a community could do. And obviously it's outside of the game, so it has limitations. It's not as clean. It's not as easy to mandate and to administer. But if there ever was maybe like in the future or a new game, a way to think of how do we give players more of the power to decide for themselves how they want to maybe view competitions, or kind of put themselves up against each other. Because that's, you mentioning clans and stuff, I just remembered you can go and look, who's got the top demon hunter clear in the clan, who's got the top one on your friends list. And so there was a little bit of thinking you can tell on their part to say, okay, maybe there are going to be ways you want to filter down the competition. And that's just the beginning, though, right? Like, you could really get robust, like you're saying, with, all right, track just these sets, or track rare. You know how people like to do those challenges? Like, here's a rare item challenge, and like, maybe you have a leaderboard specifically for that.
Yeah, you could go through and say, maybe, like, since we don't know how robust, like, the logging tech, at least behind the server, is kind of like logs everything, but then it's more of the like sifting, through all of that, the actual, like, the search and analytic tools that they have no idea. But what if you could say, create your own custom leaderboard, create a community? Since you can join multiple communities, you could join, like, say, like, multiple leaderboards or multiple challenges, and you have one that's just, who found the most, ancient furnaces.
Oh, yeah.
And that this is the leaderboard, and it just goes through and it tracks that, and ding, when this guy was the one that had found the most ancient furnaces by the end of the season.
I actually love that idea, because that's one thing I've seen in the community. People want stuff that's not just time, because so many of the competition aspects are do the fastest time, go the highest in the amount of time given to you. But imagine, or even, people love to talk up primals. How many primals have you found? Things like that. So you could even have like a leaderboard competition within your clan, who finds the most primals, and there's a thing that's tracking those drops or whatever, and you can log in day after day, be like, okay, I see Leviathan's at 13, I've got 11, like, let me hope I get 2 today or something,
And that could also, like, if you tie it directly into a season, or even like kind of like break, I don't know how you would, like, have individual or clan-based seasons. That really wouldn't work. But if you could, like, go through and, like, set it up, it would take a bit more of a rework on the clan and the community tools that they have available. But say if you're getting ready to go into a season and it goes through and queues up, what is this season for your clan? And you want to do, find, track primals, for the people within it. And that's going to be like the leaderboard for the whole season is going to be tracking the primals. It could lead specifically, or I guess a better example, going back to, like, say, the furnace, that could change how you play the season. You're not necessarily concerned about getting the highest grade or rift anymore. You're all about, collecting those blood shards, rolling those two-handed maces, dumping all your blood shards into two-handed weapons, just specifically to try and get these furnaces, and that would drastically change the way that you play your season. If that's the leaderboard that you're deciding that I'm going to tackle, obviously I do want to kind of, like, get higher up there to make the actual grind itself easier, but I'm not putting, all of these materials into finding a perfectly rolled, primal set pieces and stuff like that. I'm just trying to find furnaces.
I love this example because it's just, like, so classic to the show as well.
Well, I mean, it is kind of where I got the idea from, not gonna lie.
I was thinking. But I think this is such a cool way to tie in essentially what is out there now, which is theme seasons, except you are creating the theme for your clan, like you said. So, going into a season, you're deciding, what will the theme be? What will we entice people to try to do to change the way they look at a season, or change the way that they plan to play this season? And it's really interesting because you could maybe have a simultaneous, there's your challenge within the clan, here's a challenge that you can jump into on this community, that community, the other, and maybe even still also have your leaderboard. So there's just these multiple avenues of competition you can just dive into and enjoy as someone who might want to have a timed competition, an item finding competition, and then just like a wacky one or something, you know?
Yeah. I like how Want to Buy Nerf in chat is going and saying, this sounds to me like the Diablo 4 suggestion box. Yeah. I guess it kind of is.
It is.
These particular ideas was something that would require, probably some rather significant retooling in the back end. Not just to the community tools, but also just like the database logging and tracking, on the back end. So those are some stuff that I'm sure would probably not be, anytime soon. But maybe it's something that they could, build the database from the ground up with D4.
Definitely. Something to potentially build around. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's just food for thought. For different things that we could go through and, put out there, get rolling.
And we often do, again, ask for the community to hop in on these things too, if there are ideas, if this is sparking something in your head and you want to, type something out and have us read about it or discuss it further, you should definitely feel free to hit us up and send an email, westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com, because we're always looking for just ways to keep thinking about what the future of the franchise could be. And, it's fun to reconfigure maybe things that currently exist or things that don't even yet exist and try to make them real.
And I do really think that like you said it, like kind of like your solo self found revolution is like one of those things, just because it's a nice big community driven event that you're trying to drive change within the game that it doesn't provide using outside resources and tools.
Exactly.
Is that is something that they have done, with other games in the past, where it has like this type of logging technology, or they use the like the API in a certain way, like in World of Warcraft when they would have they would use the API to track pets, for the pet collectors, and then Blizzard finally went and implemented where you could see like your pet collection through the armory. Because the API put the information out there, it just never displayed on their own armory. And then it was so popular that they eventually brought, some of that in.
That's really cool. Yeah, and it almost, I wouldn't say it's like the community developing the game for the developers, but just sort of showing where to shine a spotlight at times, right? Like if this is something that people get really passionate about, or that they're going so far to create all this extra content and whatnot, if you as the developer can say, oh, we can make that easier for them, like let's just implement such and such and such, and boom, now we've got that. We've got you guys. And that's kind of cool because it's clear that there's a want for it, and then you get to satisfy that want. It's like win-win across the board.
Oh, yeah. And it's always like the delicate balance of being the developer is having to sift through like what the community wants, what the community needs, and kind of like there is overlap. There are a lot of things that the community wants, better parity between classes and things of that nature, which they've achieved to a very great extent, with 2.6. But then there's other things that people they think they need, but it's just like a want. And having to put that on the shoulders of the developer. But then there's certain things like this in the solo self-found season that it's almost like you kind of have to show the initiative and the drive for the developers to actually really take that seriously. Kind of like we talked about, PvP coming in patch 1.10, that it never really left the ground, because when they implemented dueling as kind of a temporary fix while we work on deathmatch or whatever have you in the background, no one really took advantage of it. No one like kind of like did their own like PvP brawl leagues or tournaments or anything like that.
Yeah.
It just was kind of there and it fell flat. Where I have seen people that have tried to do it with saying like you can only use blues and such, but it doesn't. They never really created a community or a drive to make that happen. And so why would the developers want to do that when no one's really taking advantage of what was given? Not saying that that is the end all be all excuse of it, because obviously brawling was extremely lackluster, and I don't fault anybody, for not wanting to go through and maximize brawling to its fullest potential. But
For
it's
sure.
just kind of like an example of like a metric that the developers might use to go through, and if they see like again with the solo self-found season, it continuing to like build or gain momentum, and it's something that more people join in on, or imitation is the highest form of flattering. Someone else takes that and does something maybe slightly different from the solo self-found league and does their own like take or twist or their own particular kind of like how you have like the legendary item hunt. That's a big like kind of like over on the European side.
Yeah.
Just if more people start doing some like actual community events like that or their own community leagues, it shows the developers that these are things that people want. And if you have enough of those going around, maybe that kind of shows that we won't specifically do like a solo self-found mode, but we can implement like the data tracking tools in the back end so you can create a community and then do that yourself. So that way it will go through and it will actually track. And if you play a multiplayer game, on say like a particular character or flag or your account within that season, it will knock you out of the ranking, or at least like flag you and say that this person, has played in a multiplayer game, something along those lines.
Just to make it easier to administer. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, fully realizing that this would take a considerable effort on the back end, for the developers.
Sure. I think the biggest takeaway I would even just throw out there of all this is if you love some part of the game and you feel like it hasn't received enough love, there really are two ways to go about it, right? You could either just feel that way, lament it, and then don't do anything, or try to find that mode or avenue to show that you love that thing and that you want it to succeed and be successful. And I think, like you're saying, if there's enough of that groundswell, that movement that can be displayed, find others that feel similar to the way you do and get them on your side and kind of vocal about this thing, then there's no guarantee that anything changes, but at the same time it does at least kind of show that, hey, something's moving the needle here. Is if we're have idle hands and we want a project, what else can we help with?
Yeah. The interest in it and the community backing it will add more weight to the posts on Reddit or the forums saying we want this feature, we want this feature. Well, we're gonna do it our damn selves and wait for you to go through and catch up. At that point, it just sends a different message.
Definitely.
And now I'm just thinking of other stupid stuff. Like, did you ever play Capture the Flag in D2?
No, I did not. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
There was, I had found at one point, like a guild that played and instituted Capture the Flag games, because I think it might have been the Uber Tristram, where you could actually get like a banner. It only showed as a banner in your inventory. When it dropped on the ground, it just had like banner of the hero or something like that, from what I remember. And I might be just misremembering it completely with like say something from Media and XL. But you would go through and like one would be in the Den of Evil and the other one would be in the cave in the Cold Plains. You would set them down, and then you'd have teams that you would then flag each other. And so the whole point was to run to the other opponent's team, grab the flag, and then run back and drop it. I
So
forget.
like legit after the flag.
Yeah. I think you didn't like kill them or whatever. It was like you tagged them, or I don't remember what it was, but it was something that it wasn't just like a pickup games or anything like that. It was just on some guild website. It was like they were like one of like the longest standing and largest like D2 clans that was out there. Flux, I think, did a podcast with someone from the clan and talked about it, and that's where I had found it back on the old, DiabloII.net podcast. Because this
Gotcha.
was many, many years ago that went through and talked about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that is another one of those examples. Just community goes nuts with some thing that's just a random item added, right?
Yeah, they did something that they wanted to do, and just like a different way of playing the game, different way of approaching it.
For sure. Yeah, I'm definitely still very excited. I think some days I try to like take time to think of kind of what I want the future of the game to be. I mean, it comes up enough in streaming the game, streaming D3. There are a lot of people, of course, thinking about the future of the franchise and looking forward to Gamescom, BlizzCon, all these things, like hoping we'll see something said this year or at least teased at. So it's hard not to be thinking about the future. I almost feel like I get too excited sometimes. I'm like, oh man, like I just want like more ideas, or like I want to be able to like just hop on the forums and don't want to start going so far off the deep end. It's like, dude, none of that is real or happening. Wake up from the dream.
Well, I mean, as long as you don't go to the extent you remember the old mock-ups that Monstrous would used to do on Diablo fans.
That man has a talent.
I mean, he does, and he had some like really good ideas too. That it's like, at least be safe in that respect until you actually like start going through, and you're not gonna be like Charlie, from It's Always Sunny, and just always like having like the giant conspiracy chart on the wall.
As long as I don't get one of those pointers I start smacking against like a big post-it note board, that should be good.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man. All right. I guess that kind of wraps up season 14 recap-ish / things around that area.
Yeah, I mean the only other big thing is just right now I believe it's all the digital products for Diablo 3. They are kind of having like a summer sale until July 23rd. You can buy all the D3 digital products for 50% off, including the Necromancer pack isn't 50% off, but it is $10 as opposed to 15. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like up to 50% on some of the products, but a good opportunity again. If it's so funny too because I remember, excuse me, right when the Necromancer came out, everyone was like, "Do you think it'll ever go on sale? Like, dude, like when can I get it for cheaper?" And I remember just being like, "Well, I mean, this is kind of like the one thing that they've sold for this since the two separate releases with just regular Diablo 3 and then Reaper of Souls." So I'm like, they're going to keep it at a good price, but we've seen it go on sale a couple times. So if you've been holding out, now's the best time to get a new class for yourself.
Yeah, go through, pick it up, try it out, and if nothing else, grab the character slots and the stash tabs.
Stash tabs!
And pretty awesome wings, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Especially then you unlock the Necromancer, you can do the Necromancer challenges, and then you can get the Tragol wings, and, even better.
Oh, yes. Oh, and also another thing to keep in mind, too. I know it's summer vacation for a lot of people right now, and people are coming back with the new season starting kind of in conjunction with the summer. If you're playing and you're having a good time, don't forget you can gift things to people through battle.net if they're on your friends list and such. So this could actually be a great opportunity. Force a friend to play Diablo 3. If you gift it to them, they're going to kind of feel guilty if they don't play it. So just make it appear in their Battle.net launcher. And they're like, all right, well, I guess I'll come and join you, see what all the hubbub's about.
Yep. But, there you go. Guilt trip people into playing the game with you. It's amazing PR message from the workshop tonight.
Yes.
Going further to like going and telling the developers what you want. Tuba is in chat. I wish that I could pay $10 for 2 more stash tabs.
Right? Can I buy the Necro again?
Yeah, right. I need. Can we have more stash tabs,
because
please?
more.
Yep. Well, there'll never be enough space. It'll always be more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing one class right now. I'm already like all day today. I've been like, man, I really need to take some time to just organize my stash,
Uh,
hoarding everything.
that is one thing that I definitely appreciated when going through and playing on softcore. I only needed one set of gear.
Oh, yep.
I didn't have.
So nice.
I still had backups. It's like, but I don't need backups. I need to get rid of this. You know, you tell yourself, I need to put these things away, which is legit one of the hardest things at work for the past couple of months is like going through and getting like some of the swag in from like Deadpool, Avengers, and stuff like that. And it's just like, no, it's gonna go in a box and sit there for 6 years until I look at it and be like, I've never even opened this. I should throw it away. No, I've got to hold on to it for even longer.
This is how you get on an episode of Hoarders, Nine.
Yes, but thankfully I've managed to stop temptation and not pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. But my Tommy gun don't.
And a happy new year, you filthy animal.
I just love throwing that out there. It's so good.
Amazing movies, really are. But
I hate to bring the mood down a little bit, but we actually did get some breaking news. I was perusing Twitter very quickly before the show was kicking off, and we got one tweet from somebody that you guys may know if you're familiar with the Tiny Green Box, Ramalani's Gift. If you know the story behind that, the name of Ramalani backwards is in Dalamar. And if you know that name, then that means you're either a really, really old World of Warcraft player, or you've done your research and you know that that is the game name of longtime developer at Blizzard, Travis Day, who I'm sure if you've been in any of the community stuff, you've seen his face, you've heard him. He was one of the lead guys on the Necromancer as well. So it's with very sad news that I actually have to read this tweet. He says, after 13 years at Blizzard, I've decided it's time for a new adventure. This Friday will be my last day with the company, and while I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to do next, I'm excited to see what the industry has to offer. So that is Travis Day.
wow,
Off to new shores.
yeah, wow, that's actually pretty sad news. Damn, 'cause Travis Day has kind of like been there since like the very beginning. He's been in the Diablo 3 project for an extremely long time.
I mean, when you think 13 years, right? We just celebrated D3 turning 6 from the official release. But of course, everyone remembers, you know, it was in development for many, many years prior to that. But, you know, he's there 7+ years. You know, obviously some of that was on WoW, but yeah, he kind of was one of the big D3 guys.
Yeah.
That's a lot of past experience and knowledge for leaving to be heading out the door. So it's kind of, yeah, it kind of hit me like, whoa, I didn't see that coming at all. And it also kind of continues in the vein of some of the bigger ticket names that we've seen leave in Ben Brode and my goodness, how can I blank on this name? Mr. Story Guy himself. Please help me.
Chris Metzen?
Yes, Metzen. And Brian Kindrigan. Like we've had quite a few big names head out. So it continues to go along this. We've talked about sort of the changing of the guard, it seems, where a lot of the sort of more senior people maybe at the end of a project. Oh, and how did I not throw Josh in there? Josh, of course, you know, heading out a couple of years ago. Some of the senior people at like maybe what seemed to be key times where the game is either about to transition into another phase or like a release just occurred or something where they're you know, taking that time to see what else is out there for them, maybe get back to, I mean, Travis is kind of an interesting example though, because it seems he was still developing, you know, like when I think of Ben Brode, he ended up game directing and it seemed he really missed the love of just developing. And that seems to be a thing that occurs quite often in the industry where people get so promoted to get away from what they got in for the beginning, right?
Yeah, and they wanna kind of jump back down into the pit and, you know, go through and get their hands dirty. They like being there in the middle of like the whole creative and iterative process instead of overseeing and looking it over.
Right.
That's yeah. And then also, I remember someone going through and saying something. I don't remember whether it was at a BlizzCon or something like that, but they're like explaining to me that it's not that unheard of, within like video game development as well as other like kind of like art fields or like the entertainment industry as a whole, of people like kind of like jumping ship and stuff like that, because they're always wanting to go through, create, and like push themselves. And when you get into when you kind of like get into like a steady stride and such, and that things become kind of like assembly line-ish, that you kind of strain under that, and you need to get back out in order to kind of like flex that creative muscle.
That's a really strong point.
Yeah, I know that a similar point was like Bonfire Studios. You've got
Yeah.
a lot of like really senior creative people from Blizzard and some other fields that came together to go through, and we still have no idea what they're doing.
Still waiting.
Yeah, we've seen a couple pieces of like kind of concept art, not even just concept art, just like art, from Wei Wang. That is from when he joined, Bonfire, that he credits to Bonfire Studios, kind of like the celestial pixie with the butterfly wings made of galaxies and such. That we have no idea what they're doing, but the kind of the driving goal of founding that company was a small group of close-knit developers that specifically all do multiple steps within their company in the design process. So they're going through. I'm not just doing the rigging. I'm also doing the lighting, and then I'm also helping code for collision interactions and such. And so they're all doing multiple steps, kind of like how what game development was like in the 90s, early 2000s. Just it was like a couple of guys that did literally everything from sound to art to programming, and that's kind of like what they wanted to get back to those roots.
Yeah, and it's ironic to think that Ben Brode, to just bring him up one more time, headed out from Hearthstone, because I think I recall, maybe it was an interview I read with, and now you're gonna have to help me with another name. Pardo, right?
Yep.
Who started Bonfire.
Yep.
I think he was actually inspired by what he saw from the Hearthstone team originally, how it's just this small group that really made that game flourish and thrive, and the fact that they were wearing so many hats and people were really just working on it like this passion project. So it's, it just, everything comes kind of full circle, right?
Yeah.
And there is really something, I think, with creatives in particular, like you started your point out with, where they just want those challenges. Like once things get too easy, it's too easy. You want something else to reinvigorate you.
Yep. I think we dropped some frames there for the stream, but I got it recorded.
Okay. No worries there then.
Yep. But it is, it is interesting to go through and take a look at that, kind of like from that perspective. And it is also funny that you mentioned the Hearthstone as the example, because that was, I believe, the when they wound up Team 5 was the experiment was 5 guys going and making a game. What
and burgers and fries.
Yes, and burgers and fries. It's what can they just go through and do? And they made Hearthstone, and it was amazing. But then, of course, it became huger than anyone's expectations, and so in order to match that size and need for development, it required a bigger team and more people going through and joining. And I wonder if is there a team, like a 7, Team 8, Team 9, they're going through, and it's just like we need 5 people and a dream, and we're gonna go through and give you office space, to make a game.
Start the next thing, yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like a really both simultaneous. That's just I'm using the same word to say the same. I'm using different words to say the same thing. It seems like a simultaneously really fascinating industry, scary industry, and like challenging industry. And I guess I say all those things just to be like, at any given point, it feels like you might just get to a project's apex or finishing point even and be like, well, do I stick with this and just kind of keep tinkering, or like is the poem done? Is the painting done? And now we need a new canvas.
Yep.
And can I get that canvas at the same company, or do I actually have to like kind of hit the ground running at somewhere else again?
Yeah. Or do I go out and like kill a cow and I just stretch the leather over my own canvas?
So what you're saying is he's going off to make new cow levels.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. We've come full circle.
Yes, truly we have. But yeah, I guess I'll just take this moment just to say, I got to talk to Travis a couple of times. Got to do my Play Your Way Thursday with him, actually. That was my first interaction with Travis. And nothing but an amazing dude, really passionate for the game. He was kind of the guy I looked to for the Crusader at the very beginning, when he was just saying, like, I play hundreds of hours trying to get this, like, Blessed Shield thing going and stuff. So it was just cool to have kind of a guy that you knew was working on the thing, passionate about what you really liked about it, then able to interact with him in real life, see that passion in person. And I'm going to miss him. It's a tough loss for sure, but I'm excited for what he hopefully will be doing next. He's going to land on his feet wherever he goes.
Yeah, and that's one of those ones that is also just, he was, I loved listening to him talk about the Necromancer, because he was really big about like kind of like the design and the iterative process, and like making things make sense, not just doing things the way they were done. When he's going through, and it's like why does the Necromancer have like fewer skills than other classes? Why do you only have like X number of generators, X number of spenders? And it was just like, why have more? Like why does the Demon Hunter have so many different types of generators, and you only use like a base of fire?
Two, yeah.
Yeah, it's like what is the point? Of all of those other ones, those other actual skills, and then out of those other like generator skills, most of the runes just change like the damage type. Maybe one will like add a stun or increase like the radius. Like you could just take like Chain Gang and make one of its runes Bola Shot, and then boom, you're done.
2 in 1.
Yep. And
yeah, definitely very bloat free when it came to the Necro.
Yeah.
And that way, like, I remember you talking about this too after you went to the summit, just kind of coming back with this idea that like there wasn't going to be filler, there wasn't going to be the need for like, let's have a rune that does this and this and this. Like, it was just choices you make are going to matter and be impactful. The class is going to be active. Like, he really seemed gung-ho on pushing those pillars forward.
Yeah. And so, it's definitely, it's not just always one man, it's definitely a team effort, and that's something that could be, a skill or a viewpoint that could be taught, like to the rest of the team, kind of like a mantra to withhold, that, you don't have to make something just to make something. Well, let's just, like, drill down. It's the same thing with, like, the elements, Necro only has 3 elements, why do 5, Like, why? What's the point? You're just diversifying it for the sake of diversifying it. We can hone in and just make it cool by focusing on just a couple. And I mean, you look at the Necro, amazing, awesome class. Totally not biased towards the undead in any type of way whatsoever. No, not me, not here.
Yeah, 100% unbiased opinions brought to you by 9ball. Wait, did I say 9? I meant Necro Ball.
I'll take it. I will take it. Yeah, I guess that's definitely kind of a downer note to go through and wrap up the show here on, but that does kind of bring us to a close in that respect.
I mean, positively, we'll hopefully see him stay within the industry perhaps, and maybe he gets to develop another cool game that we get to play.
Yeah, that is actually like one of those things I will take back as a little short jaunt with, like, say, Jay Wilson, who kind of also just left the video game industry and went back to one of his original passions, which is writing. which I'm still waiting every day because he is a huge, huge Warhammer fan and a writer. And one of the big aspects of the Warhammer experience is Black Library, the novels. Like the company that does the game also pumps out 1 to 2 novels a week. You're talking
Whoa.
like 50 novels a year type thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's impressive. Like the on staff writing team, the collection of authors that they have that put out like all these novel series and continuing the story and the lore of everything within their respective universes. I'm still waiting for Jay Wilson's name to pop up because at the beginning of the year they had a call to action for writers to submit their work to join Black Library as kind of like a contract author. As they've announced 2 so far over the last couple of months, and I'm still waiting for him to like go through and show up that one. That's just will be such an awesome experience to go through and see and say, read a Warhammer novel written by the former game director of Diablo 3.
It seems like the perfect marriage of all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then things, I think it's like the 4th time we've said it so far, but it will come full circle.
Yes.
And the full circle has come full circle.
Balance in all things.
In all things. But with that, I guess it's going to kind of pull us into the community section here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've just got a couple of questions. This first one comes in from our intrepid listener, Watson. His question is, for the unannounced Diablo project job posting, the descriptions start with, "The minions of hell are growing stronger." What do you think that this is referring to? Does this mean, like, in the next installment, could all the Prime and Lesser Evils be creating havoc in Sanctuary? Would you like to receive the turn of bosses from Diablo 2 or Lord of Destruction, Andariel, Duriel, Mephisto, Diablo, Baal, or would you like new bosses, say, Lilith? Posted this on the forums and sent it to KSB as well. Well, my take on that is that it is just it's a pop culture reference within the job posting. They're looking for more people to join their team, and so the whole thing is whenever someone joins your party, the minions of hell grow stronger. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's anything to read into that, but it is a good catch.
That's my take from it too. It's just kind of like a little lore in real life.
Yep. I mean, it's like, this is Blizzard. They're if you call their phone support, the automated voice system is Deckard Cain. Yeah.
Whoa!
They are 110% self-aware in everything that they do. So yeah, that's just them referencing themselves. Would you like to catch this next one?
Yes, sir. I would ride this wave. It came in from our good buddy Longshot, who's been in the chat chatting with us, as chatters do. Says, "Sup?" You can put a fellas on it. Come on, man. I've only been watching this show. 2 things. 1, has anyone noticed some odd keyboard issues while playing? It's hard to explain, but I've noticed this for years. I'll be moving through an area, and then I try to hit tab so I can see the map, but nothing shows. I can be killing some enemies, and then nothing seems to do anything. I then hit escape quickly, and then I hit escape again. That should mimic a pause. So basically escaping to get rid of the map, and then escape to pause the game. You hit tab, and then bam, you start killing right away. It's as if the keyboard got scrambled, and once you hit escape, everything went back to normal. Well, I mention this because a friend has complained that he can't seem to fire when he wants to, so maybe it's affecting him. I personally haven't run into anything like this. Have you?
It's one of those ones where I've noticed it from time to time where I'll have to, it feels like I have to press a key multiple times in order to get the skill to go off. But I don't know, whether it was lag or maybe it was tired. But it is one of those ones, it's a rare occurrence, it would be like, maybe once out of every 20, 30 hours of gameplay, that all of a sudden that just for a brief period of time, my bone armor isn't triggering, when I'm going through and smashing the key. Then, it just takes like a couple, but, it's like, I'd go through and press it, didn't trigger, and then I'd smash it a couple times, then all of a sudden it would.
It would happen. Now that you mentioned that aspect of it, I can recall, I forget which season it was, but I remember just putting out a tweet one time being like, man, it feels like my Demon Hunter is like laggy when I try to vault. Like sometimes I have to hit that button multiple times.
Yeah, vault is another one that I noticed that I would notice it before.
Yeah, and Menegies had also chimed in too and was like, yeah, you know, maybe it's just the season. I'm almost wondering if there's like a micro latency, and this is probably not the right term at all. But maybe your bar still looks green, right? So it looks like, hey, everything's fine. Maybe, like you said, there's just this misfire or maybe like a missed packet that is sending that command or something. And so you do have to jam it a couple times to get it to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, you know, the online games, you're going to have some things like that for sure. Hopefully it's not too game-breaking. I guess if your friend ends up with further issues, definitely refer to the bug reports forum or technical support. They're really good. Might even try that for my crash stuff. But in any case, on to number 2. Trying Avarice, the conquest for a 50 million gold streak. I was doing a bounty method for T10. The old site says you can get gold in the amount of 520,000. And you did research, testing Act 1 and 5, and it is indeed 1,040,000. So the multiple of both of those. So you needed 50 caches. As you noticed in the bounty map screens, there's 5 bounties, and it shows the gold, the EXP, and the cash bag icon. And then it gives a bunch of different numbers for the different acts as far as the gold is concerned. And says, why does it show these values? If 1.2 million is set in stone, then why doesn't it just say 260,000 for each? Is this for each bounty? If one looks at 350k seems to indicate that that is the best act to get gold, because that's one of the highest ones that he lists in this value of the gold you get from the different acts. But the 1.2 is still set in stone. So I just noticed this recently. I was curious if they didn't care to update the gold amounts once LCHs were made. I'm not sure what LCH. Oh, the large Horagic chest, maybe Horagic cache. That's probably it.
I think that the value that's listed on the map is actually the gold that you get for completing the bounty quest.
Oh.
Yeah, so because I believe that as you progress through, that number will get slightly higher as you complete 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The rewards will go up as you complete the full act worth of bounties. But I'm pretty sure that the one listed is specifically just the gold that you get for completing the bounty itself. And then the 1 million is the set that you get. For like the in your example, the Torment 10 Horadric cache just gives 1 million gold.
Gotcha. This shows like how much I don't pay attention to any of this stuff, because I'm just like trying to mash through everything quickly. Didn't even realize values were listed. I've heard of this method, never done it myself. Like, all this is just like, I just open the things, I get the things out of them, I know I got some things, I just keep going.
Yep, that is kind of like one of those slow burn methods that you can build up over the course of time. If you really want to get Avarice, but don't want to kind of like build that gold farming set and go and do the Corvus run, is you can just collect 50 bounty caches from Torment 10 and then open them all at once, and then boom,
easy peasy,
50 million gold.
We did it a fairly interesting way this season. So we opened, myself and Tuba opened a not the cow level through the bovine bardiche in the cube on T13. And then we both were in the game because, you get an increase to your gold find when other people are in your game. So basically one of us, myself, went and did with Boon of the Hoarder, etc., as much gold find as you could kind of fit into the build. And of course hardcore, so without like making things too crazy. Went and killed the cows, and Tuba just stood there like right at the entrance, so I'm getting the gold find benefit from him being there, but also just going on my own. And I cleared maybe half of it and got the Avarice bin, or the Avarice conquest. And I was like, well, there's still half of this thing, like you should do it too. So we literally split a cow level and both got the conquest. Which was kind of nuts, because I had done it that way I think 2 seasons ago, maybe, whenever it was last a conquest, and I was like, oh, this actually isn't that bad. Instead of like doing the whole setup Corvus and whatnot, you can just go in there, and there are those like slain farmers and chests. Like, there's a lot of ways to get some of that extra gold if you happen to get a dead spot where there's no cows or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go.
And there is a PS on this email, by the way. It says Shadow demands 9 stream.
Soon. TM.
TM. And there you have it.
Yep, we shall see. We shall see. I do, miss like going through and streaming and such. So try and get around to it at some point. Even if I say I need to just go through and set up like the iPad or webcam in the laptop and stream me painting plastic.
That would be cool. I've seen people do it.
Yep. I've seen more and more of a growing community of like the Warhammer community embracing Twitch, like the Twitch streams, both from like the creative as well as the playing perspectives.
Yeah, it's a good, a pretty cool way to still hang out with your community and do some stuff, even if you're not playing a game.
Mm-hmm. But with that, I believe that's going to drop us to the end of the community section there. And if you have any questions or want to show off your epic loot, or like we were saying earlier in the show, if you'd like to, we have a kind of like a call to action for the community. Email us themes that you'd like to see for seasons or other ideas that you have of just stuff that they could potentially implement to make Diablo 3 an even better game, or just your ideas for D4. And you can send those all to westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. And so again, you can email your thoughts, ideas, questions, and loot to westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. We're at the WM Workshop. And we live stream here on Twitch every other week at twitch.tv/BlizzPro at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. If you like what we do here, go ahead, click the follow button. You can also hang around and periodically, kind of like throughout the week, we've got the BlizzPro Adventure Club, where a bunch of the other guys from the BlizzPro community get together and play some games. I think this past week they were playing Vermintide 2. And other weeks they might play like Heroes of the Storm, some random Steam games and such. They just kind of like go around, have fun, and chat about God knows what. So, so the whole cast and crew there. And hey, if you like what we do here at the workshop, or if you just like BlizzPro as a source of news for all things Blizzard, please feel free to go and hit that subscribe button. That subscription goes not just towards the show, but to the hosting cost of the entire website and the other podcasts that we do here. So it definitely helps us out a lot. You can also go through and check us out. We're at diablo.blizzpro.com. We are even in game. We are the BlizzPro clan. Pretty much running at near full capacity at the moment, but we do have spots. Of course, the Westmarch Workshop community is always open. You don't have to leave your own clan in order to go through and join us there. You can also hop in discord.gg/BlizzPro for the official BlizzPro clan. And Leviathan, your Discord server is?
I wasn't expecting to be called on. My Discord server is discord.gg/Leviathan, where you can come and hang out for all SSF needs and chat with your fellow SSFers, but also just in general, pretty cool Diablo community. Lots of helpful people in there.
Mm-hmm. See, I changed it up on you just slightly and caught you off
guard. Oh, man. Oh,
snap. And then finally, you can also follow us individually. I am at 9ballgamer on Twitter, and you can follow me at twitch.tv/9ball for that eventual one-time grand, amazing, probably 30-minute long stream before my internet cuts out, because that's just how things are going to go. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to stream, and like yesterday, I lose internet for 8 hours. Yeah, and you can also follow my main man, I can finish a sentence, Leviathan, at LeviathanD3 on Twitter, and twitch.tv/Leviathan111. And where else? Anything else you got for us?
Nothing else, man. Just more grinding action. I'm hoping to get to Paragon 2000 this Friday, and then above and beyond. To infinity! And, well, I guess there is no infinity. Just Paragon, you just keep getting the numbers. Is that infinity? How's that work?
I think isn't it capped at like 15 or 25,000?
There's only one way to find out.
Yeah, I do believe that it does have a point. It does have a cap. I don't remember what the cap was. They made it ridiculous.
I guess what you're trying to say though is that it's definitely over 9,000.
There it is. You said 9 wrong.
Oh, over 9,000. Oh, my throat. Please send lozenges to Leviathan 111.